Welcome to the JAMODI podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it. Coaches, the JAMODI podcast is powered by Shoot 360. The future of basketball has arrived in Dallas-Fort Worth. Shoot 360 combines the latest sports technology with the fundamentals of basketball skill development. The result is a one-of-a-kind video game-like basketball program designed to improve your shooting, dribbling, and passing. Visit shoot360dfw.com to learn more and register for your free 1-hour workout evaluation. Shoot 360, the future of basketball is here. You know, I circled togetherness because you said that about the team, but then I got to imagine with all those distractions that you had, and thank you for bringing that up because it is something that every level goes through, but obviously at the 6A public school level where majority of guys that are starters, I mean, they have a really good shot to play at some level. And when you're going through those distractions, not just the undefeated part, but also the individual tracks that these guys are on, you want it to be right in line with the team track. Man, I would imagine if they weren't so together, didn't like each other so much, care about each other so much, that as outside things like undefeated, like personal, as those things started to get more and more noticeable in the front of their minds, I think that's where a lot of teams start to break apart.
Yeah, no, I can look to, man, just a handful of like moments in our season where it kind of did start to break apart. Where like, this kid has a bad game and he's more concerned about, his slump or his bad game than, happy about the success of the team. And there's a handful of times where that did happen. And I think, if we did anything right, a few times we really did a good job bringing it all back together.
Nice.
And just, like as a leader, you have to say the same things over and over and over. And they believe them, and then like remind them that this is what we're doing, and remind them, that at the end of the day, it's all you're going to end up playing. If you want to play in college, you're going to end up where you're supposed to be. And it's a process, and it's not easy, and it's not fun to be, unless you're like a top 40 kid. It's not easy, and it's not fun, but we're better together than we are separate. And everyone here is making a sacrifice in terms of their playing time and their points, as if you went to go play for the school down the street. You could play more and shoot more, but we're not trying. You can go play more and shoot more, but we're trying to win a state championship. And then we want you to be recruited at the next level because you're a winner.
Yeah.
Not because you took a whole lot of threes, or you took a whole lot of tough shots down the street and went 500.
Shawnee Harley talked about culture breakers, the things that ultimately, there's a list of, every team has a list of things that they feel like will erode and break their culture apart. And I got to imagine, especially when a team is having so much success, that those individual performances, when they're not going well, is that something that like you guys already prepped them for? This is how we're going to handle this situation. Because I think the more that we can plan for, everybody plans for the positives with culture. Like, we're going to have a great culture. It's going to go awesome. We're going to have a great season. That rarely happens. Most of the time it's being tested all the time. How did you maybe get ahead of that with some of your players and maybe help with the togetherness that they had?
Well, the culture breakers, I'd love to see that list, because I don't, I'm not really familiar with it. But when you say culture breakers, I'm like, oh yeah.
Well, it's every team has them. So like you get together with your team before the year and you say, okay, guys, like here's the culture we want to have. Now, what are the things that are going to break that down? I think on the list could be, and it's not like there's a list out there, but it's you make the list. And on that list could be, if you individually have a bad performance, how do you handle that? How do you not let that take away from the team success?
Yeah, that's good. I think the answer to that is, comes with like our group, in that we prepared them ahead of time for that, but we did it, not like it wasn't on the practice plan.
Yeah.
there was a lot of experience with the group I had. So I had a starting point guard and my shooting guard played as freshmen on the team. So they had 105 wins when they graduated. Yeah, it was incredible. And so the bulk of them were on the team as sophomores. And we went 24-9, missed the playoffs. I think we finished like a game, sixth place with a game and a half out of play, or maybe a game out of playoffs. Then we went 31-5. Those 5 games we had that we lost had a couple just brutal heartbreakers. And then so we had a lot of experience in failure. We had a lot of experience in frustration. And then I think more than anything, we had a lot of experience in success, where we would see ourselves be successful. Hey, Plano East basketball is more successful when we pass the ball a lot, when we don't take tough shots, we pass the ball and we run in transition, and then we would catch ourselves walking the ball up the court, no dribble, no pass, one pass, tough shot, and we're like, timeout. That's not how we got here.
Yeah.
Stick to what we do, stick to what we're good at, stick to what got us here. We're not good at this. You're coming into the game. Some of these kids have 100 games or more, and you're on varsity level, and you're like, hey, you're shooting a three, you're shooting tough threes, and you don't shoot a high percentage. Stick to what you're good at. And so I think one of our advantages is that we just knew what we were good at, and like being able to stick to that really preserved a culture of winning, because it was like, hey, we can win if we do this, and we cannot win if we do that. It's a lot harder. So they knew that, and it's pretty well defined. And we'd kind of been through that together.
Good nugget that you said is when you see the habit or the action that isn't what you're good at, that's negative or takes away from what the team is trying to do, man, you got to address it in that moment. Like you got to refocus them there, because in my opinion, coach, that's where slippage happens, is when you allow small things. It's kind of like culture is built by 1,000 little things. Well, slippage happens too by 1,000 little things. And we have to constantly be on guard for it and protect it, right?
Yeah. I mean, the leaders have to set the standard and hold people to the standard. I think it's always true, but whatever standard you hold them to, that's what they're going to meet. So if it's a high standard, they'll meet it. If it's a low standard, that's where they'll meet that as well. So it's the leader's job to set that standard and hold the group to it.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.